Joined now by the head coach of the Northwestern Wildcats, Bill Carmody. Coming off NIT loss, you guys made it to the third round of the NIT. And so on one hand, deepest you've ever been, Northwestern, in the postseason. And on the other hand, I know everyone has spoken very openly about wanting to make the NCAA tournament and that being the ultimate goal. Right. So given that, how do you assess this season?
Well, right now, a week afterwards or so, you're let down and there's the finality of not playing anymore, which happens to every team. And we feel pretty good that we got 20 wins and all, but certainly not satisfied. Just as you said, the goal is to get in the tournament, just like 345 other teams, and we get attention, because we haven't reached that goal. But we're making strides. We're going in the right direction, and clearly, again, not satisfied.
Coach, to kind of piggyback off of the NIT theme, of course, everybody wants to get to the tournament. But once you don't get selected, you're on to the NIT. How hard is it to get you guys motivated to play in the NIT and not look at it as a negative, but it could be a positive?
Yeah, it's a good question because, we lost in the Big Ten tournament, and that was the only way we were going to get in if we won the tournament, lost to Ohio State in the locker room. It was rough afterwards, especially Mike Thompson, been great for us for 4 years. And then, he just wanted to keep playing, and he's a resilient kid. And, he was heartbroken, but then he just said, let's go, fellas, and so it was his leadership as much as the coaches and the staff, I have to say, because he just said, we're practicing hard, fellas, and, he just sort of took ownership. Let's go from here, and this is what we got, and so move forward.
As you look ahead to next year and move forward, what are you telling your guys they need to improve on in this next 8 months or so to make that goal a reality next year?
Yeah, I think, David, that the culture has changed a little bit, and that's really important. And we have 4 out of 5 starters back. We have some young guys coming in that we like. Recruiting still isn't done, but we're looking forward to bringing some new guys in. But it's basically just that the culture has changed. Usually, I tell the guys to take a week off. 10 days, rest your legs, then come back fresh. And 2 days afterwards, I get guys in the gym and playing and going hard. And said, Coach, can you work me out? Can you work me out? I said, I thought I told you to take a week off. Oh, Coach, And so the guys really want to get better and improve, and it's a good sign.
Coach, you got a really good returning cast in Mark and Tulio, who have really improved Dershawn Cobb, but also Crawford. But how do you replace the leadership that Michael Thompson has brought to this team?
That's the hardest one, Jim. That's the hardest one, and I don't see anyone right there. You mentioned Dershawn Cobb. He's only going to be a sophomore next year, but he has potential that way. He's a good player, but he'd win all the sprints. And that's a good sign. I wasn't happy this year when I was telling Mike Thompson, all the older guys, Sharon or Crawford, you can't let this freshman win in sprints. And so that's a possibility there. And then you have guys like Sharon and Crawford who are good guys, but they're not as vocal, as Mike was, and you don't quite know. So someone's going to have to emerge. That's definite.
One of the interesting things as the season went along is it seemed like, particularly at the end of the year when you were really successful, defensively, you played more man than you had in the past. How have you seen the defense evolve on this team?
Yeah, we just decided. I didn't have anyone to yell at when they scored. The other team scored. We were playing a lot of matchup and 1-3-1, and I just said, looking around and said, well, you got Crawford. He keeps his body in front of his man pretty well. Mike does the same thing. Johnny's okay, Sherner, down low. Out on the perimeter, it's a little harder for him, but, getting better. So he said, let's just give it a shot because your center, no matter what you're playing, is playing a big guy down on the block, and he's basically one-on-one with him, whether you're playing man, matchup. So we just started working on it a little bit, and the guys, I think they said, okay, let's do that. That's a good idea. And I could yell at them when somebody scored.
Most importantly, right?
Yes, exactly.
The mental game is so tough and so important in college basketball. John Sherner had a lot of highs and lows this season. Is there particular conversations that you had with him, especially when he was going through that down period where he wasn't really shooting as well as we've seen him earlier in the year?
Yeah, I've said I've been coaching for a long time, and his first 10 games were as good as anyone I've ever coached. And I thought he was like the best player in college for the first 10 games this year. He's shooting 64% from 3. He's rebounding, he's passing the ball, he's doing everything. And then, he had some injuries, chin and his ankle. And you're right, the confidence just dropped. And, he couldn't push off, and so I wasn't that easy on him, to tell you the truth. I just said you can't use it as an excuse. I give him that old line that your ankles are long distance from your heart, stuff like that. Just saying, come on, kid, you can do it. We got the word that it wasn't going to hurt him, from the trainers and the doctors. He can keep playing. It wouldn't be perfect until he has maybe a month to rest it. But it wouldn't damage it any further. So, we talked about it a lot. Let's go, this isn't a democracy. We need you out there. You can't take 8 shots and throw the ball to other guys. You still have to take 14, 15 shots. And he was saying, well, I'm not shooting as well. Well, start shooting. Start
It's
shooting
easily
well.
solved.
I like that kind of coach right there.
Yeah.
I want to ask you one question about the NCAA tournament before we let you go. It's interesting because you are in a power conference. You're not a traditional power school, so you have kind of an interesting vantage point, I think, on what's gone on so far in the NCAA tournament, to see the rise of these mid-majors. Good thing for a school like Northwestern? Bad thing? How do you view this?
I just think it's, I'm not sure. I don't know if we have enough to really judge it. I mean, if Monday night you tell me that Arizona wins it all, or Kentucky wins it all, or Butler wins it all, or VCU wins it all, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they're all good teams, and so how does it, the rise of this mid-majors supposedly, does that hurt the big conferences? I think it's a little too soon to tell, because maybe you're categorizing some of these teams, VCU, Butler, as mid-majors, and they're as good as anybody, and maybe each year there's a different mid-major supposedly that's as good as anybody, and that's a committee's job at the end of the year to look at it and judge. Okay, this year this team is a mid-major supposedly, but they can play with the big boys.
All right, Coach, thanks a lot for your time. We appreciate you dropping by, and
you,
enjoy
fellas.
a little bit of your time off before you get back into this. Coach Bill Carmody at Northwestern.